According to the National Reporting Center that investigates mysterious aircrafts, sightings in and around Virginia are up. Over 190 reports were made in 2019, and as each year passes, that number increases. Reports range from these objects appearing to be in the shape of a disc to other shapes such as the pyramid and triangle. One interesting photograph that was recently sent to us was captured above Virginia in 2017. The person said the reason they sent it across was because they've been seeing similar-looking objects in the sky above Virginia and was wondering if anyone else had seen the same thing. The object that was photographed has been described as a large cube, with others saying that it looks like it was taken near a tornado. This could be the case, as Virginia is a place that suffers from tornadoes, with the worst times for them being between the months of April and September. Those who saw the image said that these strange-looking cubes are not anything new, and that each year bizarre black cubes can be seen sitting in the clouds. Not much information can be gathered about the photograph, as when you track down the original poster of the image, a man by the name of Mr. Garcia, he didn't put a caption on the photo. Those who study mysterious aircrafts have said that it looks similar to other cubes that have been witnessed, but as of right now, no one seems to know where these things are coming from, and note that they don't match conventional aircrafts. The user who sent the image said the following: "The reason I sent this was because it looks very similar to something I've seen. I live close to Woodbridge, and while driving home I've seen on a few occasions a strange-looking object. The only way I can describe this object is that it looks like a large black cube, seems to have the ability to hover in the sky, and doesn't make a sound. I would guess that this thing is well over 100 feet in the air, but every time I've tried to take a photograph of it, the image just appears blurry, and you can't really make out what I'm seeing. I have an iPhone 11, but even that can't seem to pick this thing up. I've seen it twice now, but can't work out what it could be. It doesn't remember a plane, a helicopter, a blimp, a hot air balloon, or something natural like an animal. It just sits there in the sky without moving, and doesn't seem to be affected by things like the wind. Also, I know that this thing isn't a cloud, because I can see other clouds hitting this object and then splitting off, so if this was a cloud, it would travel with the others. I've also seen other strange objects within my area. For example, another craft I saw had a ring of 10 lights around it. They would occasionally blink, but not enough for them to be something like a plane. I've talked with friends and neighbors in the region, and they said they've seen strange things." End quote. Researchers who study crafts have said that various people have seen these strange cube-like objects, and go on to say that although they are rare, they are occasionally seen. Another resident who lives in Woodbridge also came forward to detail their sighting, saying that they saw 14 to 24 lights that were flying in a strange formation. They said the following: "They turned and headed north and back to the west and disappeared. They were all illuminated in white to a pink color and made no sound at all. At the point that they turned back west, I could see another craft with green blinking lights coming from the north. I retired from the army after 32 years of active and reserve, and I have never seen a craft like this before." End quote. In recent years, people have been going online and reading through the countless declassified documents that have been uploaded. Hundreds of thousands of them exist, and although the majority of them are not of interest, some of them go on to detail strange encounters with mysterious aircrafts. According to declassified documents, a secret investigation team established by the British Ministry of Defence, tasked with studying unidentified objects reported across the United Kingdom on the 4th of August back in 1990, a Royal Air Force pilot intercepted one of the largest unidentified objects ever recorded. According to the military report, at around 9 in the evening, a pilot of an RAF Harrier fighter jet noticed what was later described as a diamond-shaped aircraft, more than 75 feet in diameter, hovering 20 miles north of Pitlochry in Perth and Kinross. Although the document does not go into detail surrounding the mysterious encounter, it's described that the craft hovered for approximately 20 minutes before disappearing at incredible speeds. Prior to 1948, the media would often treat any stories surrounding unidentified objects and supposed encounters with an otherwise forgettable attitude. Oftentimes, such stories were held for short periods of time and were only printed during down news cycles, in which there were not many other interesting stories available for the weekly newspapers. It was quite common for the eyewitnesses to be quoted in out-of-context claims in an effort to provide the story with a silly or wacky quality, and would serve more accurately to put down these individuals, rather than shining a light on their story. This would leave many eyewitnesses frustrated and often ridiculed for sharing their personal stories. It was not until 1948 that the light-hearted attitude of reports would reach their end. Often considered the turning point in how the news media would treat mysterious aircraft cases, the Thomas Mantell incident would be the first report of an unidentified object being the primary cause behind the premature passing of an experienced military pilot, who at the time was sent in pursuit of the unexplained craft. According to the Thomas Mantell report, it was on the 7th of January, back in 1948, that the Godman Army Airfield, located within the Fort Knox United States Army installation, residing within the state of Kentucky, received a distressing report from the local Kentucky Highway Patrol. Officers with the Highway Patrol claimed that several eyewitnesses that were spread across two neighboring towns, Owensboro and Irvington, had reported multiple sightings of what was described as an unusual aerial object that was traveling westbound from the town of Madisonville. The unknown and unidentified aircraft was believed to have been somewhere between 250 to 300 feet in diameter, hovering somewhere north of 10,000 feet in altitude. Perplexed by the report, the Godman Army Airfield quickly sent several military officers to ascertain the nature of the situation, fearing that the object could have been an attempt by a foreign power to stage an attack against the United States military. It was not until about 1:45 in the afternoon that the Godman Army Airfield would receive confirmation of the impossible-to-explain aerial object from a sergeant by the name of Quinton Blackwell, who was stationed at the Fort Knox control tower. Sergeant Quinton Blackwell reported seeing what he described as a small moon. According to Blackwell and two other eyewitnesses stationed within the control tower, the object was a pale white and luminous, completely spherical in shape, and was far larger in size than any known aircraft at the time. Even today, the largest known aircraft ever constructed, the AN-225, has a wingspan of 290 feet in length and is not spherical in shape. Another eyewitness, Colonel Guy Hicks, who was stationed as the base commander at Fort Knox, viewed the strange luminous object through a pair of high-quality binoculars and claimed that the craft was at a distance that made it appear to be 1/4 the size of the full moon, while hovering at 10,000 feet and possessed an illuminated red border along the bottom of the craft. Colonel Hicks was later quoted as saying that the spherical craft appeared to have been stationary for roughly 1.5 hours, maintaining its position with ease. Fearing that the unidentified flying object was a possible experimental enemy aircraft, the Godman Army Airfield tasked 4 F-51D Mustangs of the Fighter Squadron Kentucky Air National Guard, of which were already in flight, to investigate the unknown aircraft and approach its position with extreme caution. Of the 4 Mustangs, one of the pilots immediately radioed in to the air traffic controller to land at the airfield rather than to pursue the unidentified craft, under claims that he was low on fuel and would need to make an emergency landing. The 3 other Mustangs, one of which being piloted by Captain Thomas F. Mantell, confirmed that their fuel was more than sufficient and began their pursuit. In their pursuit, several of the pilots claimed that they witnessed what was described as a much smaller aerial object, but that the object was so small and indistinct that it was impossible for them to identify exactly what it was or its dimensions. It was at this moment that the large spherical craft began to ascend several thousand feet into the air, forcing the pilots to reorient themselves to continue their chase of the foreign aircraft. Military reports would later claim that it was at this point that 2 of the pilots immediately began to turn back for the airfield, believing that they had insufficient oxygen to continue their ascent after the unexplainable spherical craft. However, doubt would later be cast over such claims by researchers at later times. It was at this moment that only Captain Thomas F. Mantell continued pursuing the craft, with the air traffic controllers claiming that they could hear Thomas Mantell describing the object as being metallic and of tremendous size. The military officers would radio to Mantell that it would be ideal for him to level his aircraft at his current altitude to try to see the object more clearly. Unfortunately, either due to communication errors, electromagnetic interference, or adrenaline, Thomas Mantell would ignore these commands and continue his vertical ascent to 25,000 feet. Reports would later claim that the cause of malfunction was due to pilot error, believing that Thomas Mantell did not possess an oxygen mask. Although the reports would make such claims, it would be incredibly atypical for Mantell to be missing his oxygen mask and for the Mustang to have been equipped with a dwindling source of oxygen. Additionally, given Thomas Mantell's experience at high-elevation flying, it would have been incredibly unlikely for the captain to have engaged in dangerous behavior with a lack of viable equipment. Regardless of the cause, at approximately 25,000 feet, Thomas Mantell was registered to be unconscious, causing the fighter jet to pitch down into a nosedive. The 300-foot unidentified object would then leave the area, only to reappear at the Clinton Country Air Base located in the state of Ohio at around 7:20 in the evening. The Clinton Country Air Base would release the following report the next day. A sky phenomena, described by observers at the Clinton Country Air Base as having the appearance of a flaming red cone trailing a gaseous green mist, appeared in the southwest skies of Wilmington last night between 7:20 and 7:55 in the evening. Sergeant Gail F. Walter and Colonel James Hudson, control tower operators at the airfield, first saw the phenomena at 7:20 in the evening and observed its maneuvers in the sky until 7:55 in the evening, when it disappeared over the horizon. The sky phenomena hung suspended in the air at intervals and then gained and lost altitude at what appeared to be terrific bursts of speed. The intense brightness of the sky phenomena pierced through a heavy layer of clouds passing intermittently over the area and obscuring other celestial phenomena. 4 members of the alert crew joined the control tower operators in observing the sky phenomena for approximately 35 minutes. Not much was ever discovered surrounding the luminous spherical object, and sightings of the craft were dismissed as a possible balloon. So, what do you make of these mysterious reports and encounters? Be sure to leave your questions and answers in the comments section below and help us to grow this community while working to solve these unexplained mysteries. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.